Every night, you perform the most mysterious act in the universe, and you don't even realize it. You lie down, close your eyes, and then you vanish. Not your body, not your breath, but you, the one who thinks, worries, plans, remembers, simply disappears. And here's what will disturb you. You have absolutely no idea where you go. Tonight, when you surrender to sleep, you'll dissolve into something so profound, so utterly beyond your daily understanding, that if you truly grasp what happens, you'd never take consciousness for granted again. But we've been conditioned to treat this daily death and resurrection as ordinary. How fascinating that the most extraordinary journey you'll ever take happens every single night, and you've been sleepwalking through it your entire life. Now, let's begin with something rather unsettling. Every evening, you perform what amounts to voluntary suicide. Oh, don't worry. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being precise. Think about it. What you call yourself, this chattering, thinking, experiencing being, willingly steps into oblivion. You see, we've become so accustomed to this nightly disappearance that we've stopped noticing how absolutely extraordinary it is. Your thoughts stop. Your sense of time evaporates. Your precious identity, all memories and concerns you so tightly, dissolves. And yet,
somehow, mysteriously, something continues.
You're given a demonstration of what the Buddhists call the void, that space of pure being that exists when the ego takes a holiday. But here's what's truly fascinating. We treat this daily miracle as though it were nothing more than maintenance. Like charging a battery or defragmenting a computer, how wonderfully we've managed to make the mystical mundane. Now, let's examine this disappearing act more closely. What exactly vanishes when you fall asleep? Your name doesn't matter anymore. Your job, your relationships, behind your eyes, the witness, who's designing the sets, and most mysteriously, because there's a clear difference between 8 hours of deep sleep and 8 hours of tossing and turning. But if there was truly nothing there, how could there be any qualitative difference at all? This is what I call the deep sleep paradox. Pure being without any content whatsoever. Existence without experience. Consciousness without an object to be conscious of. It's like a theater with the lights on. The audience gone, the actors departed, yet somehow mysteriously gone. The mystics have a word for this state. Call it the causal body, the most fundamental level of your being. It's you without any qualities, you without any attributes, you without even the sense of being. Pure existence, aware of itself, without needing to think about it. What's shocking is that you visit this state of perfect peace, perfect wholeness, perfect being, every single night. The very thing you're searching for in meditation, in philosophy, you experience it naturally. Every time you fall into deep sleep. The cosmic joke is that enlightenment puts you to sleep. Now we're approaching something that might disturb your carefully constructed sense of self. Because what sleep reveals is this. Consciousness doesn't need you to exist. Think about it carefully. Every night, your personal life, your history, your personality, your preferences completely disappears. And yet awareness itself continues. It's like discovering that the light in your room doesn't actually belong to the lamp. The lamp just temporarily shapes and a light that exists. Your sleep, conscious flows freely, uncontained by the boundaries of your ego. It's no longer your consciousness, it's simply consciousness itself, playing through the instrument of your nervous system like wind through a flute. The flute doesn't own the wind, it just gives it temporary form and melody. This is what the ancients meant when they spoke of the universal mind, the cosmic consciousness, the Buddha nature. They weren't talking about some grand, otherworldly concept. They were pointing to what you experience every single night when your individual awareness dissolves back into the ocean of pure being. And here's what's both beautiful and terrifying about this realization. What you call your consciousness was never really yours to begin with. You're not a separate being having conscious experiences. Your consciousness itself, temporarily dreaming that it's a separate being. The wave isn't separate from the ocean. It's the ocean expressing itself as a wave. And every night, in sleep, you return to your oceanic nature. You become what you have always been, but temporarily forgot you were. Now, let's examine something equally mysterious. How you manage to reassemble yourself each morning. Because that's what happens, isn't it? After hours of complete dissolution, somehow all the pieces of your identity magically come back together again. Watch this process carefully the next time you wake up. First, there's just pure awareness. No sense of being anyone in particular. No memory of yesterday. No anticipation of today. Just consciousness awakening to itself, like the first light of dawn. Then, gradually, the familiar structures begin to reassemble. John, I live in this house. I have this job. I was worried about this future. Layer by layer, memory by memory, the psychological self rebuilds itself from what? From nothing but pure potential. It's like personality out of a hat. The most fascinating part? You do this reconstruction so automatically, so unconsciously, that you never stop to wonder who is doing the rebuilding. If you were truly gone during sleep, who remembers how to put you back together? If your identity was genuinely dissolved, what force knows exactly which thoughts, which memories, which personality traits belong to you, is less than absolute. 5 hash is greater than. The answer is both simple and profound. The same intelligence that grows your hair, beats your heart, and digests your food. The same wisdom that knows exactly how to transform a seed into a flower without any concept on the seed flower. Your ego doesn't reconstruct itself. It's reconstructed by a far deeper intelligence that you rarely acknowledge. Now we arrive at a truly shocking realization. Everything I've been describing about sleep, the dissolution of identity, the flow of consciousness without a container, the mysterious intelligence that operates without your supervision. This isn't just happening at night. It's happening right now in what you call your waking life. You see, the only difference between sleeping consciousness and waking consciousness is that in waking, there's the persistent illusion of someone in charge. The ego steps forward and claims ownership. I am thinking these thoughts. I am making these decisions. I am living this life. But look more closely. Did you decide to have that thought that just occurred? Did you choose to fall in love? Or did it happen to you? Do you control your heartbeat, your digestion, your immune system? Are you actively managing the incredible complexity of your cellular metabolism right now? The same mysterious intelligence that operates during sleep, creating dreams, maintaining the body, organizing memories, is operating right now. You're just not giving it credit because the ego is convinced that you're the one running the show. But what if I told you that waking life is just another kind of dream? A dream in which consciousness dreams. It's a separate individual, having experiences, making choices, living a life. A dream so convincing that the dreamer completely forgets their dream. The mystics have always known this. That's why they speak of awakening. Not awakening from sleep, but awakening from the dream of being a separate self. Awakening to what you discover every night in deep sleep. That you are not a person having consciousness, but consciousness itself, playing at being. What I've been sharing with you isn't new. The ancient traditions have been pointing to this mystery for thousands of years. They call it by different names: Brahma, Tao, good enough, the kingdom of heaven. But they were all describing the same thing you visit every night in deep sleep. The Upanishads spoke of four states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the fourth, Turiya. This fourth state isn't really a state at all, but the unchanging awareness that witnesses all the other states. The screen on which the move is waking, dreaming, and sleeping. What the sages discovered is that this witnessing is this pure consciousness that remains conscious experiences. This is what you actually are. Not the temporary wave of personality, but the eternal ocean of being itself. They realize that the journey into sleep each night is actually a journey home. A return to your original nature, your true self, your deepest identity. Not the small self with its endless problems and pursuits, but the vast self that has no problems because it has no boundaries. Zen masters put it beautifully. They said enlightenment is like awakening from a dream in which you dreamed you were someone other than who you really are. And what you really are is what remains when all the dreaming stops. Pure awareness, infinite potential, consciousness without limits. This is why meditation traditions often focus on the transition into sleep. They're trying to stay conscious while the ego dissolves, to witness the very process you experience unconsciously every night. To see directly how the individual self arises from and dissolves back into the universal consciousness. The secret they discovered is this: you don't need to achieve enlightenment. You need to recognize what you already are, what you've always been, what you experience most purely every night when you stop pretending to be someone else. So, what does this mean for how you live your daily life? Well, it changes everything and nothing at all. You still wake up, still brush your teeth, still go about your business, but now you know something profound about what's really happening. You begin to see that this person you think you are, with all its dramas and desires, its fears and fantasies, is no more permanent than a character in last night's dream. Fascinating, yes. Engaging, certainly. But ultimately, just another temporary appearance in consciousness. This doesn't make life meaningless. Quite the opposite. It makes every moment infinitely precious, because you're no longer trying to get somewhere else, become someone else, achieve something else. You begin to recognize that what you've been seeking through all your pursuits and struggles is what you already are in your deepest being. You start to live with what I call divine carelessness, caring deeply about life while holding lightly to outcomes. Like an actor who plays their role with complete commitment while never forgetting it's just a play. The next time you lie down to sleep, instead of treating it as mere rest, recognize it as a sacred journey. You're about to dissolve back into your true nature, to experience what the mystics spend lifetimes seeking, unity with the Absolute. And you do this every single night, as naturally as breathing. And when you wake each morning, instead of immediately grabbing onto your identity, try staying in that spacious awareness for just a moment longer. Feel how vast and peaceful you are before you become someone again. This is meditation, not something you do, but what you naturally are when you stop doing so much. Remember, consciousness is not something you have, you are something consciousness is doing. And every night, in the mystery of sleep, consciousness takes a vacation from being you, and simply enjoys being itself.
What a marvelous cosmic truth that the deepest spiritual realization is something you experience
every single night,
and wake up
getting every single morning.
But now you know,
knowing this,
how can you ever
this dream
of being someone
quite so seriously again? You being a life, a dream so convincing that the dreamer completely forgets they're dreaming. The mystics have always known this. That's why they speak of awakening, not awakening from sleep, but awakening from the dream of being a separate self. Awakening to what you discover every night in deep sleep. that you are not a person having consciousness, but consciousness itself, playing at being a person. What I've been sharing with you isn't new, you know. The ancient traditions have been pointing to this mystery for thousands of years. They call it by different names: Brahman, the Tao, Buddha nature, the kingdom of heaven within. But they were all describing the same thing you visit every night in deep sleep. The Upanishads spoke of 4 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and the 4th, Turiya. This 4th state isn't really a state at all, but the unchanging awareness that witnesses all the other states, the screen on which the movies of waking, dreaming, and sleeping all play. What the sages discovered is that this witnessing awareness, this pure consciousness that remains constant through all your changing experiences, this is what you actually are. Not the temporary wave of personality, but the eternal ocean of being itself. They realize that the journey into sleeping tonight is actually a journey home. A return to your original nature, your true self, your deepest identity. Not the small self with its endless problems and pursuits, but the vast self that has no problems because it has no boundaries. The Zen masters put it beautifully. They said enlightenment is like awakening from a dream in which you dreamed you were someone other than who you really are. And what you really are is what remains when all the dreaming stops. Pure awareness, infinite potential, consciousness without limits. This is why meditation positions often focus on the transition to sleep. They're trying to stay conscious while the ego dissolves, to witness the very process you experience unconsciously every night. To see directly how the individual self arises from and dissolves back into the universal consciousness. The secret is this. You need to recognize what you already are, what you've always been, what you experience most purely, when you stop pretending you're someone else. So, what does this mean for how you live your daily life? Well, it changes everything and nothing at all. You still wake up, still brush your teeth, still go about your business. But now you know something profound about what's really happening. You begin to see that this person you think you are, with all its dramas and desires, its fears and fantasies, is no more permanent than the character in last night's dream. Fascinating, yes. Engaging, certainly. But ultimately,
Just another temporary
difference in consciousness.
This doesn't make life meaningful.
Quite the opposite. It makes
Every moment infinite because you're no longer trying to get somewhere else, become someone else,
something else.
Recognize that what you've been through, all your pursuits and struggles already are in your deepest. You start
with what I call divine carelessness. Caring deeply about while feeling like outcome. Like an actor plays their role with complete commitment while never forgetting it's just a day. Next time you long to sleep, instead of treat as a sacred. You're off back to your future. What the mystic bend life from absolute. And you do this every single night, as naturally as when instead of immediately grabbing onto your identity, stay on that space longer. How vast and peaceful you are before you become something again. This is meditation, not something you do, but what you naturally are when you stop doing so much. Remember, consciousness is not something you have, you are something consciousness is doing. And every night, in the mystery of sleep, consciousness takes a vacation from being you, and simply enjoys being itself. What a marvelous cosmic joke that the deepest spiritual realization is something you experience every single night and wake up forgetting every single morning. But now you know. And knowing this, how can you ever take this dream of being someone quite so seriously again? You've been receiving messages your entire life. here's the delicious paradox. The moment you start hunting for these secrets, they vanish like smoke. The instant you stop caring about them, they multiply like rabbits. What I'm coincidence. It's about discovering that you're not a separate observer watching random events unfold. You participate in a cosmic dance, so intricate, so perfectly choreographed, that calling it coincidence becomes the greatest understatement in human history. So settle in, because we're about to explore the most beautiful secret hiding in plain sight. Let me tell you about the moment everything changed for me. I was walking through a London bookshop in 1958, wrestling with a philosophical problem that had been tormenting me for weeks. As I reached for a book on Eastern philosophy, another book fell from the shelf above, landing open at exactly the page containing the answer I desperately needed. Now, you might say, well, Alan, that's just coincidence. But here's where it gets fascinatingly strange. That same afternoon, I encountered 3 different people who, without knowing each other or my dilemma, each mentioned the exact phrase from that book. By evening, I was listening to a radio program where the host quoted that very same passage. When coincidences start clustering like this, something magnificent is happening. You're witnessing the universe's way of getting your attention, like a cosmic tap on the shoulder saying, pay attention, something important is unfolding here. But what exactly are these synchronicities revealing? They're showing us that the world isn't a mechanical, disconnected clockwork we've been taught to believe in. Instead, reality operates more like a vast, living organism where every part is intimately connected to every other part. Think of it this way. When you're truly in harmony with the natural flow of existence, events begin arranging themselves around you with an intelligence that appears almost supernatural. It's as if the universe itself is conspiring to support your journey, but only when you're moving in alignment with the deeper currents of life. Carl Jung, that brilliant Swiss psychologist, called this meaningful coincidence. Events connected not by cause and effect, but by meaning and significance. But I want to suggest something even more revolutionary. Synchronicities aren't special events that occasionally interrupt ordinary reality. They're glimpses of reality actually works all the time. Now here's where most people get it, delightfully tangled up. The moment you decide, right, I'm going to start noticing synchronicities everywhere, the universe seems to go on strike. It's rather like trying to catch your own shadow. The harder you chase, the more elusive it becomes. Listening to something profound about the nature of awareness itself. When you're desperately hunting for meaningful coincidence, you're operating from a state of wanting, of lacking, separation. You've positioned yourself as a needy observer, trying to extract meaning from an uncooperative universe. That synchronicities arise from the exact opposite state, from a relaxed, open awareness that's not grasping. It's like being in love. The moment you stop trying to make someone love you and simply become lovable, love appears everywhere. Similarly, when you stop demanding that the universe send you signs and instead become genuinely attentive to what's already happening, the signs multiply beyond counting. The secret is this: synchronicities don't happen to you, they happen through you. When you're transparent enough to let the universe express itself without it. Western science has given us two ways to understand it. There are more illustrating the story that still gives me chills. A woman I knew was struggling with whether to leave her marriage. One morning, she found a wedding ring on the doorstep. No explanation, no owner to be found. That afternoon, she received a phone call meant for someone else about divorce proceedings. That evening, her favorite song came on the radio just as she was thinking about her husband. A song about you. Now, did the universe conspire to create these events? Or were they always there, waiting for someone in the right state of awareness to notice them? I suggest it's both and neither. Synchronicities exist in a dimension beyond our usual categories of thought, what I like to call the realm of meaningful pattern, where significance and circumstance dance together in ways that bypass ordinary causation. This isn't mystical nonsense. It's recognizing that reality is far more interesting and interconnected than our present instruments. You know, the universe has been trying to have a conversation with you your entire life, but it doesn't speak in English or French or any human language. It speaks in patterns, in timing, in a peculiar poetry of circumstance, and most of us have been deaf to this cosmic chatter simply because we never learned to listen properly. Consider how synchronicities actually communicate with us. A book falls open to exactly the right page. You meet precisely the person you need to meet at the exact moment you need to meet. The perfect song plays just when you need to hear it. It's as if reality itself becomes a kind of living oracle, arranging symbols and situations to convey meanings that bypass the rational mind entirely. But here's what fascinates me most. This language of synchronicity speaks directly to our intuitive understanding. You don't need to analyze or interpret these meaningful coincidences. You simply know what they mean, the way you know when someone is looking at you from across a crowded room. It's immediate, visceral, undeniable. The universe, it seems, prefers to whisper its deepest truths through the arrangement of everyday events, rather than through grand pronouncements. And once you begin to notice this subtle communication, you realize you've been having this conversation all along. You just weren't aware you were participating in it. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. How do you distinguish between genuine synchronicity and wishful thinking? Because let's be honest, the ego is absolutely brilliant at turning random events into cosmic confirmation of whatever it wants to believe. I've watched people convince themselves that every red traffic light is a sign from the universe telling them to slow down, or that seeing the number 11 repeatedly means they're about to meet their twin flame. The ego loves to feel special, chosen, cosmically significant, and it will hijack any meaningful coincidence to support its favorite fantasy about itself. But authentic synchronicity has a different quality entirely. It doesn't flatter your ego. It often challenges you. It doesn't confirm what you want to hear. It tells you what you need to hear. Real synchronicities have a kind of objective poetry to them, a rightness that resonates beyond personal preference or desire. Here's my test. If a synchronicity makes you feel superior, special, or chosen above others, be suspicious. If it humbles you, opens you, connects you to something larger than your personal agenda, pay attention. The universe isn't interested in inflating your ego. It's interested in dissolving the barriers that separate you from the whole magnificent dance. Here's where synchronicities become truly revolutionary. They completely shatter our conventional understanding of time. According to our clocks and calendars, events unfold in neat, linear sequence, past, present, future. But synchronicities operate by entirely different rules, as if past and future are somehow reaching into the present to create new. Let me share something that still mystifies me. Years ago, I had a vivid dream about meeting a woman with distinctive red hair in a garden filled with white roses. 3 days later, I found myself in exactly that garden, meeting exactly that woman, having exactly the conversation I dreamed. Now, which came first, the dream or the experience? Or were they somehow the same event, experienced from different angles of time? Synchronicities suggest that time isn't the rigid, one-way street we imagine. Instead, it's more like a vast ocean, where waves from different directions can meet and create interference patterns of movement. The future seems to cast shadows backward, while the past reaches forward, all converging in moments of perfect significance. This isn't merely poetic speculation. When you're living synchronistically, you begin to sense this fluid nature of time already. You feel events gathering significance before they happen, as if meaning were organizing itself around you like iron filings around a magnet. And this brings us to the crucial insight. Synchronicities only reveal themselves to present moment awareness. When your mind is racing into the future or rehashing the past, you become blind to the magical timing that's constantly unfolding around you. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how synchronicities seem to cluster during periods when you're most relaxed and attentive? During vacations, perhaps, or after meditation, or in those golden moments just before sleep. It's not more meaningful coincidences are happening. It's that you're finally awaking up to notice them. Presence is like tuning a radio to the right frequency. The music was always broadcasting, but until you found the precise wavelength, all you heard was static. Similarly, the universe is constantly arranging meaningful patterns, but they only become visible when your awareness is clear and undivided. This is why the ancient masters emphasized being here now so insistently. They weren't advocating some spiritual technique. They were pointing to the only place where the miraculous can be perceived. Past and future exist only in thought, but synchronicities exist only in reality. And reality, my friends, is always happening right now. So what happens when you truly understand it? What happens when you stop fighting the current and start swimming with it is less than #0. 5# is greater than your entire approach to living undergoes a fundamental transformation. Instead of forcing your way through life like a bulldozer, you begin to dance with circumstances like water flowing around rocks. I've discovered that when you are truly aligned with this synchronistic flow, decision-making becomes almost effortless. The right choices reveal themselves through the arrangement of opportunity. Doors open exactly when you need them to open. The people you need to meet appear precisely when you're ready to meet them. It's not that you become passive, quite the opposite. You become incredibly responsive to the subtle cues that life is constantly offering. This doesn't mean everything becomes easy, or that you'll never face challenges. But the challenges themselves begin to feel meaningful, perfectly timed for your growth. Even difficulties arrive as synchronicities, bringing exactly the lessons you need when you need them most. You start to trust that whatever is happening is somehow exactly what should be happening, even when you can't understand why. Living this way requires a peculiar kind of courage. The courage to trust in an intelligence far greater than your personal planning mind. It means releasing the exhausting illusion that you must control every detail of your existence and instead learning to cooperate with the mysterious wisdom that's already orchestrating everything. And now, my friends, we arrive at the most beautiful secret of all. Are you ready for this? Is less than #0. 5# is greater than synchronicities aren't messages from some external cosmic intelligence trying to communicate with you from out there. They're expressions of your own deepest nature recognizing itself everywhere. You see, what we call synchronicity is what happens when the artificial boundaries between self and world begin to dissolve. The sub-entity trapped inside of the entire universe becomes an extension of your own being. And of course your own being itself is the pattern that the great joke is this: you've been looking for signs from the universe when you are the universe. You've been waiting for meaningful coincidences when you are the meaning that makes coincidences possible. Every synchronicity is your own cosmic nature playing hide and seek with itself, leaving breadcrumbs for you to follow back home to your true identity. This is why synchronicities feel so deeply familiar, so right when they occur. You're not witnessing something foreign or supernatural. You're recognizing your own handiwork. The entire cosmos is your own mind in action. And synchronicities are simply moments when you catch yourself in the act of doing everything at once. So the next time a meaningful coincidence unfolds around you, don't just marvel at its beauty. Recognize it as your own signature written across the fabric of existence itself. And here we are, Having followed this thread all the way to its source, you came seeking to understand synchronicity. But what you've discovered is far more profound. You've glimpsed the secret that mystics and poets have been trying to convey for millennia. You are not a stranger in a strange land, but the very intelligence through which the cosmos comes to know itself. So go now with this awareness. Stop searching for signs and start being the sign. Stop waiting for the universe to speak to you and start recognizing that you are the very voice through which it speaks. The dance has always been yours. You just forgot you were dancing. Remember this and watch as your entire world transforms into one continuous, magnificent synchronicity. What if I told you that the very thing you're doing right now, this searching, this seeking, this desperate hunt, enlightenment is the only thing preventing you from waking up. You see, there's a secret that every awakened being knows but can never quite explain. It's like trying to describe the color blue to someone who's been blind from birth. The secret is this: everyone who seeks awakening is doomed to fail. Not some people, not most people, everyone. And yet, here's where it gets deliciously paradoxical. The only people who ever wake up are those who sought it with everything they have. So we have a problem, don't we? A magnificent, maddening riddle that's been driving seekers insane for thousands of years. And today, I'm going to show you why. Now, let me tell you about the most exquisite joke the universe has ever played. It's so funny that when you finally get it, you might cry instead of laugh. Picture this. You wake up one morning and decide you've lost your head. Absolutely convinced. So you start searching everywhere, under the bed, in the closet, asking everyone you meet, have you seen my head? People look at you strangely because, well, you're using your head to look for your head. You're speaking with the mouth that's on the head you claim to have lost, but you're so convinced of your headlessness that you can't see the absurdity. This is exactly, and I mean exactly, what every spiritual seeker is doing. You're using consciousness to look for consciousness. You're being aware while searching for awareness. The very fact that you can search at all proves you already have what you're looking for. And here's where it gets even more delightful. The moment I tell you this, what happens? Your mind says, so I should stop seeking. But that's just more seeking. Now you're seeking, non-seeking. You've just added another layer to the game. It's like quicksand. The harder you struggle to get out, the deeper you sink. Every effort to solve the problem is the problem. Every attempt to wake up is precisely what keeps you asleep. The cosmic joke? You can't just decide to stop, because deciding to stop is still doing something. You're trapped in a prison, where every move toward the exit takes you further from the door. But wait, it gets worse. Or better, depending on your sense of humor. The you that wants to wake up, the you that's seeking enlightenment, that's the ego. And the ego can no more destroy itself than a fire can burn itself out by burning harder. It's like asking your right hand to cut itself off. Even if it could, what would do the cutting? So we arrive at the first great obstacle. You are seeking to become what you already are, using the very thing that prevents you from seeing what you already are. And you can't stop. Marvelous. Let me share something rather shocking. You're an addict. Oh, not to anything as mundane as alcohol or tobacco. You're addicted to something far more insidious, the future. You see, there's this peculiar disease that infects nearly every human being. I call it tomorrow-itis. The chronic condition of believing that fulfillment, enlightenment, happiness, whatever you want to call it, is always just around the next corner. When I finally meditate properly, after I've read enough spiritual books, once I find the right teacher, as soon as I have that breakthrough experience, always when, always after, always once, never now. But here's the thing about tomorrow, it's a place you can never visit. It's like the horizon. No matter how fast you run toward it, it retreats at exactly the same speed. Tomorrow is a mental construction, a fantasy, a carrot dangling forever out of reach. And we are so in love with this fantasy. We worship at the altar of becoming while completely ignoring the miracle of being. It's as if you're sitting in a magnificent garden, surrounded by the most extraordinary flowers, but you're too busy studying seed catalogs to notice. The spiritual marketplace knows this addiction well. It feeds it, nurtures it, profits from it. 10 steps to enlightenment. The 5 stages of awakening. Advanced techniques for consciousness expansion. All of it based on the premise that you're not there yet. That you need to become something other than what you are. That this moment, right now, is somehow insufficient. But what if, and stick with me here, what if the whole idea of spiritual progress is the opposite? What if the very notion that you need to get somewhere is what keeps you from recognizing where you are? Consider this. Have you ever noticed that all your problems are either memories or imaginings? When you're completely present, without referring to past or future, where is the problem? Where is the insufficiency? Where is the need to become? It vanishes. Poof! Like a magician's trick revealed. But the mind can't stand this. No, it says, I really do need to improve. I really am not enlightened yet. And off you go again, chasing tomorrow's promise, abandoning today's reality. The addiction to becoming is so strong that even pointing it out doesn't break it. You'll hear this and think, yes, I need to stop being addicted to becoming. Do you see? Now you're trying to become someone who's not addicted to becoming. It's absolutely brilliant in its stupidity. Now, let me tell you about the most seductive trap of all, the search for someone who has made it to show you the way. It's perfectly reasonable, isn't it? If you want to learn pottery, you find a master potter. If you want to learn music, you find a musician. So naturally, if you want to wake up, you find someone who's awake. But here's where the whole thing goes magnificently wrong. Awakening isn't like pottery. It's not a skill you can learn by imitation. It's more like learning to be yourself, and who could possibly teach you that? The moment you start following someone else's footsteps, you're walking away from your own ground. I've watched this happen thousands of times. Someone meets a teacher who radiates presence, peace, wisdom. That's it, they think. That's what I want to be. And immediately, they begin the great game of spiritual dress-up. They start talking like their teacher, walking like their teacher. They adopt the same diet, the same practices, the same philosophical positions. They become a carbon copy, but a carbon copy of awakening is just sophisticated sleep. You see, every true teacher is a complete original. Buddha didn't become Buddha by trying to be like someone else. Jesus didn't become Christ by following another's path. They became themselves utterly, completely, unapologetically themselves. But we don't want to hear this. Being ourselves seems too ordinary, too simple, too unspiritual. We want the robes, the rituals, the secret teachings. We want someone to tell us exactly what to do, when to do it, how to breathe, what to think. And there's always someone willing to oblige. Follow my 7-step system. Repeat this mantra exactly as I do. Sit precisely in this posture, as if awakening were a recipe you could follow like baking a cake. The really clever gurus, and I've met quite a few, they'll tell you, don't follow me, find your own way. And their students nod sagely, and then try to not follow in exactly the same way the guru not followed. It's hilarious. Here's the shocking truth. A real teacher is like a thief. They're trying to steal something from you, your crutches, your dependence, your belief that you need it. But most students grip their crutches even tighter and beg for more. The guru trap is this. Believing that enlightenment can be transmitted like a virus, caught like a cold, learned like arithmetic. But it can't. Because what you're seeking isn't information or even transformation. It's recognition. Recognition of what's been there all along. And no one, absolutely no one, can recognize it for you. Oh, this one is my favorite. The ego is such a crafty little devil. Tell it that possessions won't bring happiness. And what does it do? It starts collecting spiritual experiences instead. I've met people who can tell you about their kundalini rising, their third eye opening, their out-of-body journeys, their past life memories, They wear their experiences like medals on a general's chest. I've had Satori 3 times. I studied with 12 different masters. I've been meditating for 27 years. But here's the delicious irony. They're more asleep than the businessman chasing his next minute. At least he knows he's being materialistic. You see, spiritual materialism is materialism in drag. Instead of accumulating cars and houses, you accumulate insights and experiences. Instead of showing off your bank balance, you show off your consciousness to the world. Instead of designer clothes, you wear your spiritual sophistication. The ego hasn't disappeared, it's just got the makeover. The spiritual makeover. Now it's the spiritual ego. And it's even more insufferable than before. Watch what happens at any spiritual gathering. People comparing meditation techniques like they're comparing sports cars. Mindfulness? How quaint. I've moved on to non-dual awareness. It's the same old one-upmanship, just with Sanskrit terms. And the experiences. My God, the attachment to experiences. People clutching their peak moments like photographs, pulling them out to admire again and again. Remember when I felt oneness with everything? Well, where is it now? The truth is devastatingly simple. Any experience you can have, you can lose. Any state you can enter, you can exit. Any insight you can grasp, you can forget. If it comes and goes, it's not what you're looking for. But we're so addicted to the fireworks. We want the bells and whistles, the cosmic light shows, the overwhelming bliss. And when we get them, we want more. Always more. I knew a man who spent 40 years chasing higher and higher states. He could induce ecstasy at will, see colors beyond the spectrum, hear the music of the spheres. And you know what? He was miserable, because no experience was ever enough. He was like a drug addict, except his drug was consciousness itself. The great joke? While you're busy collecting these spiritual chutneys, you're missing the most profound experience of all the simple, ordinary, miraculous fact of being. Right here, right now. No bells, no whistles, just this. But just this doesn't sell seminars, does it? Now we come to the most exhausting battle ever fought, the war against your own shadow. And what a magnificent war it is. Spiritual warriors everywhere, armed with affirmations and positive thinking, determined to vanquish every trace of darkness within. But I have news for you, rather disturbing news. You can't have light without shadow. It's like trying to have a mountain without a valley, a wave without a top. They define each other. They need each other. They are each other. Yet here we are, generation after generation, trying to become pure light. I must eliminate all negative thoughts. I must overcome all fear. I must transcend anger, jealousy, hatred, as if you could have a coin with only one side. Let me tell you what happens when you declare war on your darkness. It goes underground. It becomes guerrilla warfare. Your shadow doesn't disappear. It just gets sneakier. I've watched the most spiritual people, the ones who've supposedly conquered all negativity, and they're often the most passive-aggressive beings you'll ever meet. Their repressed anger leaks out as compassionate criticism. Their denied fear manifests as loving concern. Their hidden hatred becomes righteous indignation. The shadow always wins. Always. Because the shadow is just you in disguise. Here's what nobody tells you. Your demons are your angels in disguise. Your weakness is your strength turned inside out. Your darkness is your light casting a shadow. They're not enemies to be conquered, they're dance partners waiting to be recognized. But we're so terrified of our own depths. If people knew what I really thought, what I really felt. So we put on the mask of spirituality, pretending we're beyond such base emotions. We become spiritual mannequins, perfect on the outside, empty on the inside. The Zen masters knew better. They'd tell their students, if you meet the Buddha on the road, kill him. Shocking, sacrilegious, but they understood even your highest spiritual ideals becomes business. You want to know the secret of integration? Stop fighting. Just stop. When anger arises, let it be angry. When fear comes, let it be afraid. When jealousy visits, invite it into tea. But won't I become a terrible person? That's the fear talk. The truth is, when you stop fighting your darkness, something miraculous happens. It transforms. Not because you forced it to, but because you finally allowed it to be. It's like a child throwing a tantrum. Fight it, and it gets worse. Accept it completely, and it exhausts itself. Your shadows are just lost children wanting to come home. But no, we'd rather have our civil war. We'd rather split ourselves in two, the good me and the bad me, the spiritual me and the ego me. And in this division, we lose the very wholeness we seek. The fourth obstacle isn't your darkness, it's your belief that darkness is an obstacle. Let me destroy your favorite fantasy. You know, the one, that beautiful image of enlightenment you carry around like a secret treasure. The permanent state of bliss, the end of all suffering, cosmic consciousness that never wavers, the arrival at the promised land, where all questions are answered and all seeking ends. What a magnificent carrot to dangle in front of a donkey, you see? We've turned enlightenment into the ultimate product, the final acquisition, the PhD of consciousness. Once you have it, you're set for life. No more problems, no more doubts, no more ordinary human messiness. You'll float through life in a bubble of perpetual wisdom and compassion. But here's what's so wonderfully absurd about this fantasy. It's based on a complete misunderstanding of what awakening actually is.